Hello, it must be Sunday, Aranka Story Day. Thank you for joining me. Today's story is going to be called Purple Dahlia. Some of you who have been watching my videos by now know that I had a job working in a nursery. And Tante Clara, on I believe it was my 8th birthday, which is in September, gave me a box that had sort of burlap around it. And she said, open it up, this is your birthday present. And it was a little wooden box that had slats in the bottom. And when I looked in it, I knew exactly what it was. They sort of look like funny sweet potatoes, but they are really dahlia tubers. And she said, I am giving you one of these, and your papa paid for the other one. And you know that in the spring, you need to prepare the soil properly, and then you plant these. These are the dinner plate dahlias. Dinner plates, the flowers will be at least 12 inches across. And since she knew my favorite color was purple, and she said to me, guess what color they are? And I said, oh, are they purple? And she said, yes, that's exactly it. So she said, now you know what to do with this, right? Here's some straw. And I said, yes, I know. I put straw on the bottom, and I put the tubers on top. I put straw on the top, and I put it in our cellar. And in the spring, when it's time to plant them, then I know what to do. I prepare the soil, and I know exactly where to put them. So sure enough, that following spring, I very carefully got my 2 dahlia tubers, and oh boy, I was all excited about this because I really loved those. We had other dahlias, the pom-pom ones, and we had some yellow ones, but we did not have a dinner plate, and we certainly didn't have a purple one. So I got the soil all ready to go. I asked my papa where I could plant it, and he said, you can actually put that wherever you want. So I decided to put it closer to where we would sit outside and not in my little garden. But I realized that I was not tall enough to really be able to deal with them as they grew up. And I talked to my dad, and I said, you know, can I have the footstool that we use in the house? And he said, no, that's okay, I'll make you one because you're gonna need it. And he said, now you know what you have to do, right? And I said, yes. I have to water it, I have to make sure it doesn't have any bugs, and once a month I have to put more compost in the soil. And he said, well, what about the flowers? I said, oh, I know, I want to have the really big ones. So I know that when a stalk comes up and it makes side stalks and it makes flower buds, I pinch those out. So I only have one in the center. And he said, oh good, you actually listen to what we're teaching you. And I said, well, of course. Okay, so here we go. In the spring, I planted them, and by August, they were just huge. They were definitely taller than I was. And one of them, the flower literally was bigger than my head. It was just absolutely gorgeous. And I was so proud of them. I used to call them my babies, and of course, I named them. And typically in that part of Europe in the fall, you can have some heavy summer storms or late summer. So one night I woke up and there was thunder and lightning and rain, and oh my God, it was pretty bad. So the next morning when I got up and I walked outside, I was absolutely stunned. We had a very, very big pear tree in front of our house that our hammock hung from, that my fox and I used to sleep in. One of the branches had broken off. There were several other trees that lost branches. A lot of the flowers were lying flat on the ground. We had a round flower bed that my dad and I would plant with gladioli. They were all on the ground, and my dahlias completely flattened. I was absolutely devastated. I ran into the house, and my mother said, oh, I was afraid that you would be really upset. I was inconsolable. I was crying, and by that time I had gotten a cat, Timotheus, and I got my kitty, and I just walked outside with the cat, and I could not stop crying. I was so upset. My mother finally came out and she said, you know what, I know that you're very, very upset, but Papa has something planned and it's very special, so please come inside. And I said, no, I don't want to. I'm really sad and I don't want to do anything. And my mother said, I know, but it's okay. This will be a good thing, so come on in. And at that point, I still had my beautiful long hair, and my mother would take half of it and braid it and put it on my head like in a little crown. And we had gotten a package from America that had 2 plastic butterflies with these little snaps. I didn't know what that was. My mother said, oh, it's for your hair. And it was pretty. She would put a pink ribbon in my little braid with the butterflies, and the rest of the hair was hanging down, and I did like that. But you could tell I'd been crying. I mean, I had these big red eyes, and my father said, it's all right, I understand, little one, but we're going to do something really fun. And I said, well, Papa, what are we going to do? And he said, I can't tell you, it's a surprise. So Papa and I walked off, and we went to a place called the Kuhhütten, which was an old, beautiful restaurant, and they had an area outside with big oak trees and all sorts of other trees. But there was obviously something happening because they had all these long tables set up, and there were flowers everywhere. And I said, Papa, what's this? What is this? What are they doing? And he said, oh, it's a flower show. I said, really? Wow, that's fun. Oh, let's go look. Oh my God, there were all sorts of wonderful, wonderful things all over the place. Huge chrysanthemums and daisies and gladioli and wisteria, and it all, of course, had been cut. It was in vases or in pots. And then there was like a little podium, and they were judging something. And then all of a sudden I heard, oh, that's my favorite little girl, and it was Tante Clara. Unfortunately, she had her husband with her, which I didn't really like him, but that's going to be a story for some other day, and you'll find out why I didn't like him. But for today, we're not going to go there. But anyway, Tante Clara took me all over the place, and she said, you know, this is my little girl, and she's going to inherit our nursery because she's even better at plants now than I am. She was always very sweet and very complimentary. And she said, oh, come on, now it's time for us to go over and watch the judging. And we walked over to the podium, and I couldn't believe it. There were 8 huge dinner plate dahlias. There was a white one, a beautiful, sort of like an off-white, and a big yellow one. And then there were some purple ones. And I said, Papa, look, isn't that amazing? They look pretty, they look sort of like mine, don't they? And Tante Clara put her arm around me, and my dad put arm from the other side. And they said, well, yeah, it ought to look like yours because one of those is yours. And I said, what? What do you mean one of mine? No, they all fell down in the rain. And my dad said, no, they didn't. I cut one of them last night because Tante Clara told me about the flower show. And she took it, I took it last night after you went to bed. In the dark, I went out there, and she came over and decided which one should be the one. And then she took it, I helped her, we took her to her house. And she brought it today, here's another one who'd like to hear the story, to the show. And I said, oh yeah, that one, where there's 3 purple ones, the one in the middle, that's mine, isn't it? And they said, yeah, that is yours. So as we were talking about that, there were 4 judges, and they were evaluating all of the flowers, and then my heart almost stood still. He walked over to first the white one and said, 3rd prize. Then he got another one, and I think it was the yellow one, 2nd prize. And then he walked over to the purple ones, and they all were standing there talking and looking and turning. And then he grabbed mine and he said, and this is the winner. And I mean, there were like 60, 70 people. And Santa Clara went, yeah, and okay, you all want to come over here, here. This is the little one that grew it. It's this little girl, you know, it's this one. And you know, she works for me, and my nursery is, and then she told him how to get to her nursery. I could not believe it. I went, oh my God, Papa, that's really mine. It's mine. And he said, yes. And then one of the guys said, come here, come on up here. We have to give you a little ribbon. And it was this beautiful rosette with these long purple ribbons hanging down. It said first prize, and it had the name of the flower show and the date on it. And oh my God, I could not believe it. Tante Clara said, okay, now you have what they needed to give you. So we're gonna go over to the Kuhhütten, because you know they have a restaurant outside, and they happen to have strawberry tarts. And a little girl that does such a good job needs a real good reward. So we're gonna take you over there. So here we went, Tante Clara, my dad and I, and secretly I was very happy that her husband wasn't there, that I don't know where he went, but he didn't come with us. And I thought, oh, this is great, because I don't like him. When we sat down and I got this piece of strawberry tart with the whipped cream on it, I could not remember when a strawberry tart had tasted that good. It was absolutely, truly delicious, and it ended up being the most wonderful day for me, even though it started with such a heartache. And that is my story for today. I love you. See you next Sunday.